Hello everyone. My name is Clara Kim. First of all, thank you so much for having me here, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to share a little bit about myself as a researcher. So let me briefly talk about myself first. So when I first stepped into this academia, some of my colleagues told me that actually research is a me search process, and some of you might agree or disagree with this statement. But at least to me, I was really able to resonate with this statement because I spent most of my lifetime back in back in South Korea, and perhaps you might be already familiar with the very competitive academic atmosphere over there, not so much different from here in Hong Kong. And then I have seen many people around me who are highly successful in their career or life in general, but then they do not really see why they're living actually, and they are not really happy about what they had achieved by that time. They still really want to strive more, but then they just simply feel like they do not know how to. So that's how I became more interested in and passionate about the concept of positive youth development. And in fact, human beings are much more than cognitive functioning or academic performance and career success. But oftentimes, I feel like at least the educational settings or educational um, atmosphere that I went through back in the days focus a lot on success. And then in that process, human beings' spiritual development or their social or moral or emotional development are easily neglected and ignored. So what do we really mean by positive youth development? So here, youth refers to relatively um, like large populations, including the early adolescents as young as upper levels of primary school students until perhaps emerging adulthood, like mid in their 20s. And then positive development frameworks involves five different pillars, including competence, character, connection, care, and competence. So these are somewhat very similar to the spirit of social emotional learning suggests as well, in that it focuses a lot on social development and highlights the social relationships, and also intersects with the moral development and character education as well. Me specifically, I am interested in studying in two different settings, classroom as well as community. So in classroom settings, I study effective curricular aspect of the intervention that fosters individual students' positive development. And I also study teachers' different instructional strategies and how they relate to students' positive social experiences in classroom settings. And in community settings, I am interested in young people's community service engagement and their participation in NGO or NPO facilitated programs such as leadership program. And this is the word cloud that I created based on the research articles that I have been publishing so far over the past 10 years. And then as you can see, social elements, social development keywords stand out a lot. Other than that, we also see volunteering, civic adolescent discussion, students, learning, purpose, etc. When I conduct the research, I derive from the psychological perspectives and theories, as you can see, including social constructivism, experiential learning theory, social learning theory. And on the developmental side, I focus on identity development and life purpose development and positive youth development. And at the level of psychological construct and variables, I am interested in individual social support that they perceive from social figures such as romantic partner or significant other, friends or teachers or parents. And also, I'm interested in social self concept, moral self concept, life or civic purpose, pro social motivations, and social capital. So, I am going to introduce two lines of research that I am doing recently, one of which is about positive youth development, fostering life purpose, and the other of which taps into peer mediated learning intervention in classroom setting. So I'm gonna start with the very first project that is still ongoing right now in South Korea. So in this leadership program facilitated by the NPO NGO, about 30 young adults participate in this leadership program, and I am preparing two different articles, specifically one of which where I try to map out effective curricular aspects of this leadership program based on some of the leadership principles such as justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. And in another paper, we are trying to understand how really young adults perceive and experience this curriculum, and over these experiences, how they change in their developmental side, such as 5 Cs as well as life purpose. So, just to give you more background about this leadership program, they take weekly lectures from a variety of experts, and they are mainly faculty members in the field of psychology, education, or social work, economics, or business, etc. And then they also read a lot of different books in the field of self leadership, vision building, economics, diplomacy, humanities. And they also take part in community service on a monthly basis. And they also take part in open forum where a lot of different experts participate and discuss as a open format. And throughout this program, they need to discuss pretty at a deeper level on what they felt and what they read about and how they think about it. Last but not least, they also take part in international field study, including Berlin in Germany and Luxembourg and also Geneva in Switzerland. These are the pictures that I took last year, but then depending on the cohorts, they also go to some of the organizations in the United States as well. They get to visit a lot of NPOs and NGOs, and when they are visiting these international organizations, they get to see a lot of sensitive and somehow macro levels of agendas that they need to start thinking about as a leader. So in the interest of time, I'm not going to delve into the detailed results, but basically, as I briefly mentioned, we were trying to map out some of the principles of leadership, such as justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion with the curricular aspects of this leadership program. And one of the themes that I have found out from this research is that they really enjoy and appreciate some of the social inputs from many different individuals. And then in doing so, they get a sense of what they really want to do in the future when they go out of to the society after they are done with their studies. And some participants are already working in their own fields, but then they are actually starting thinking about switching their jobs or switching their career trajectories because of the input that they get from this leadership program. Now I am moving to the other line of research focusing on peer-mediated intervention in classroom setting. So specifically in this study, we tested out how young students' participation in collaborative social reasoning intervention enhance their social perspective taking, which is their ability to understand others better. And just to give you more background of this intervention, students are going to read a lot of different articles and stories that can be personally relevant to themselves, such as social exclusion or bullying or victimization or discrimination. And after they read these stories, they are going to talk about what should this story character should be doing in this socially and morally complex dilemma situations. And students are encouraged to participate in this discussion in a socially respectful way, such as not intervening others or listening to others respectfully, and also trying to make claims with valid evidence. So this is the research that we have recently published, and for the sake of research, we developed social knowledge coding scheme based on the qualitative data transcribed from their discourse over the course. And also, we tested out the association between the levels of the social knowledge and the levels of social perspective taking. So as you can see here from the result, we were able to find out that students who are able to generate more social knowledge, such as bullying or social exclusion, from their course discussion, appropriately validated and justified, students show higher levels of social perspective taking. So there is a positive association between knowledge justification and ability to understand others. And surprisingly enough, just simply belonging to a group that brings in different perspectives is associated with higher levels of social perspective taking. So for example, if I belong to a social group that is composed of a lot of different group mates who always talk about many diverse perspectives, not centering around only one perspective, then only by being exposed to this group discussion, I will be able to demonstrate higher levels of social perspective taking at the post test after controlling for background information and also pre-test as well. In another research, under the similar line of research, we have tried to understand how young students' participation in digital civic learning curriculum can lead to their better competencies as a citizen in the future. So again, in this intervention study, each unit lasts for about 10 school days. And throughout this curriculum, students again read a lot of different articles and also watch a lot of different videos. And they get to talk about many different societal issues such as diversity, inclusion, identity, and immigration, discrimination, government, economics, food security, etc., that are highly relevant to their daily lives. And also, they take part in collaborative social reasoning and also submit the individual essays based on the prompts at the end of each unit. And also, they create some self-recording content and then get to share it with other classmates. So to capture student civic competencies, I have developed civic competencies coding scheme, as you can see. And then based on these three dimensions, I have coded individual students' levels of knowledge, skills, and dispositions, and quantified the levels of these competencies for the sake of statistical analysis. And surprisingly enough, civic competencies by themselves did not really predict the civic purpose. Civic purpose refers to individuals' desire to contribute to societal well-being as a future citizen. So we definitely want to see some positive association between these constructs, but that was not the case. But then surprisingly enough, when we looked further, looking at whether these associations could be possibly mediated by the moral self-concept, that we were able to find significant mediating role of moral self-concept in the association between civic knowledge and civic purpose, as well as civic skills and civic purpose, even if such a mediating role was marginally significant in the association between civic disposition and civic purpose. So taken together, we could conclude that just being competent in the classroom discourse by itself is not enough to make students develop their desire to contribute to the societal good, but only when it is incorporated with moral self concept, they should be able to develop sense of purpose. This is another study that I published building on the same project. And in this study, we proposed a research model where the psychological principles such as we-ness, empathy, and agency plays an important role as a bridge linking some of the aspects of the civic purpose. So this is a conceptual paper. So if you are interested in, please go ahead reading it. And I would love to have further discussion with you. And this is the list of some of the projects ongoing in my lab. So if you're interested in, please reach out to me. Thank you so much.